Divine friends, it is Saturday, so you know what that means. It is time to get into our reading of Anubis, Ancient Egypt's Lord of Death and Protection by Charlie Lawson. Now, I really, really love this book, you guys, and I say that every time I make one of these videos. But, anyways, today we're diving into Chapter 2 Mythological Origins. Okay, so we're going to tap into mythological origins and we're going to get into birth of a god. But I do want to kind of put through like the disclaimer for awareness that there is contradictions in Anubis's origin story. All right, and there is one that is written by Plutarch that wrote Anubis was the offspring of Osiris and Nephthys, although he was raised by Osiris and Isis. But a little research turns up writing that claims he is much, much older than many of these other deities. In these sources, he is referred to as the son of Ra and Haset, or even Ra and Bast, feline goddess of perfumes, dance, passion, and protectress of Ra. Despite being contradictory, however, these stories can be quite informative. All right, so with that being said, let's dive into Birth of a God, okay? The best known origin story of Anubis, although not one without contradiction, appears in Plutarch's Moralia, circa 100 CE, which tells the story of Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Set, the four children of Nut, goddess of the night sky, and Geb, goddess of the earth. Osiris originally had dominion over civilization and agriculture and was seen as a benevolent god who blessed his followers and helped their crops grow. His brother Set was a trickster god of chaos, the desert and storms, a jealous, angry, and vengeful god who was also known as a warrior and protector. His sister Isis was a goddess of magic, light, and healing, while Nephthys, her darker twin, was a goddess of magic and death, and essentially, or especially of mourning and grief. She was associated with rivers. Osiris and Isis, who were partnered early on, had a child named Horus, the bright god of light and the skies, who became the heir to the throne. Set, associated with the infertile desert stands, was partnered by default with Nephthys. When they were unable to conceive a child, Nephthys decided to play a trick on Osiris by disguising herself as the twin Isis and seducing him. The child born of this union was Anubis, the princely god of death. Knowing that Set would be angry and seek to kill the child, Nephthys hid him in the desert where he was found by Isis and her dogs. Isis took him to be raised by herself and Osiris, and Anubis became her protector and guardian. This myth only adds to the confusion surrounding Anubis's origins. As we see in the last chapter, several sources claim that he have been the son of Ra and Haset, or Ra and Bast. Now, we have a story claiming that he may be the son of Osiris and Nephthys, which makes Isis his stepmother and Set his stepfather. Some sources even claim that he is actually the son of Set and Nephthys. All of this is almost certain to leave you confused and frustrated, asking questions to which there are no answers. But I personally think that these conflicting stories serve rather to demonstrate that Anubis is an incredibly complex deity who just doesn't fit into one little neat box. He is a god whose reach spans time and space, myth and mystery. If anything, these contradictions demonstrate his importance. Either he is the son of the king of the gods Ra, or another Osiris. Either way, he is a royal child, which is one interpretation of the name Anpu. These contradicting myths also highlight his connection to various aspects of the universe, encompassing life and death and light and darkness. In fact, this myth really demonstrates how worshippers in ancient Egypt shifted their views of Osiris and Anubis, and how many came to associate Osiris with death and the underworld. When Osiris fathered a son with Nephthys, Set, who had always resented his brother's status and popularity, became angry. In a fit of rage, he killed Osiris, chopping his body into pieces and scattered them across Egypt. Yikes. But Isis, Osiris's beloved wife, gathered together as many of the gods as she could to help her find the pieces of his body. With Anubis acting as a guardian and protector, they found all of the pieces except his area, you know what I'm saying? Um, and this is when Anubis invented embalming and mummification. With his help, Isis crafted the missing area out of clay and put her husband back together. Then she petitioned Thoth to teach her the magic needed to revive Osiris and bring him back to life. Easy enough for a goddess, right? In another version of the myth, Horus battles Set seeking revenge for his father's death, and Anubis later kills Set for trying to steal Osiris's body during the process of mummification. Whichever of these versions you choose to accept, it is through this act of death and rebirth that Osiris comes to oversee the underworld. Here we see Anubis fulfilling many of his classical roles: protector, guardian, embalmer, and god of death. From this point on, however, Osiris also becomes associated with death, while Anubis' roles shift primarily to embalming and mummification. This is when Anubis becomes a psychopomp and wearer of hearts. As we have seen, although Osiris is called king of the underworld and lord of judgment, it is Anubis who plays the active role in death. He is the one who most petitioned for guidance and protection in the afterlife. Although some of his epithets may have changed, his power and influence never did. Okay, now next week, you guys, we will be looking at the battle of Anubis and Set. And as always, if you would like to leave any comments or any discussion about Anubis in the comments, please feel free to do so. And I love you guys. I'll see you next week.